Sometimes life is messy. Have you ever wished you could refocus your mind, home, relationships, and work life? Join us as we use research-based information to make practical changes and simplify life. This is Life Simplified.
Welcome back to Life Simplified. This month is all about languages of appreciations, and who doesn't like to feel appreciated? Do you feel like you perform better when you feel appreciated?
So I was thinking about this question, and I don't know that I necessarily perform better because I do if I do something, I want to do it right. But I know that when I feel appreciated or someone has shown appreciation for what I do, I am more likely to go above and beyond, to want to do even more, even better, and to be there and just go that extra step. So I don't know, I think it does give me a boost in okay, I know I'm already doing good work, but I want to do the best work now.
And I think the same. I'm going to give it my all no matter what, but I think it's really easy to get discouraged when you don't feel appreciated. So I love that this month is all about showing appreciation. And I hope our listeners from our conversations can kind of start thinking about how not only you can show appreciation, but also think about the ways that you feel appreciated. What really encourages you? Today, we will specifically discuss words of affirmation as a language of appreciation. And the 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace by Dr. Gary Chapman and Dr. Paul White specifically says that words of affirmation is language that uses words to communicate a positive message to another person. So, ladies, what does that mean to you? What do you think that means?
For me, I think it can be really simple, just say thank you. Just when someone has done something for you, whether you ask them or they anticipated a need and did it, just telling them thank you. I appreciate you did that for me. I saw that you stepped up and did that thing. Because I think a lot of times we get so hurried and busy, and there's so much going on. We get so easily distracted that we do appreciate each other, and we know that we can't get our job done to the level that we do without other people helping us. But we have to say it. I think it's so valuable for people to hear and to know that the effort they're putting in is noticed, and to just simply say thank you. And I try really hard. I'm not as good with the tangible gifts. We've talked about that. But this is where I really try to be cognizant, especially at the workplace, when I am getting people who support me and help me with my programs, and they're showing up and they're showing out for me. I am very appreciative, and I like to tell them, thank you. I need you. You are part of my team that I cannot do what I do without.
I definitely agree with that. One thing that I try my best to do, and it's kind of something that people don't do that often anymore, I write thank you notes. So I kind of chair committees nationally and just locally. I want a leadership thing. And so I will write them a note, handwrite a note, and mail to them. Or if it's my coworkers, I have little encouragement cards, and it just says a little thanks for all you do, or you're the best, just different things. And so I'll get that little card, just write, thanks so much for all you do, write my name, and just sit it on their desk. So I think I've been trying to be more about expressing and saying thank you when people do things for me. But I feel like I do that well, is trying to acknowledge that people help, because it really showed me. It's when I first started working in Extension. I did a program for the first time in the community, so it was hard, and it took probably 30 volunteers, and I hand wrote 30 thank you notes. The next year, I had all those people come back and more that wanted to help. So I really think that just valuing that in aspect as well is kind of the sending a positive message any way that you can.
I love that, because I didn't immediately think of a handwritten note or a note card as words of affirmation, but absolutely is. And I guess because I lean more towards verbally affirming people, but I love that because it is so meaningful when you get a card or a note that someone took the time to write to you and you knew that they were thinking of you. So I like that, and I'm going to try and keep that in mind.
I love that you brought both of those up, because when you are positively affirming someone, there are different ways to do it. And there is that written affirmation. And when you think about it, kind of know your people. Mm-hmm. Would they rather you verbally say something to them, like Tiffany mentioned? Would they like for you to do it one-on-one, just like, hey, it's just us? They don't want a lot of attention with it. That would really make them uncomfortable. Or is this a person who would like public affirmation, and maybe not even public as in everyone knows about it, but maybe in front of colleagues where you're giving someone those positive words of encouragement. And then finally that thank you card, or just a little note. Even if it's not a card, just a little note. Write me a sticky note, stick it on my computer. There you go.
You know, that made me think when you said like whether they want that recognition privately or publicly. Amanda and I had the opportunity to take a class about these languages of affirmation. And I had forgotten, but one of the things when they were talking about words of affirmation that one of the other individuals in the class with us shared is that during their staff meeting, they would do like shout outs or high fives, or like letting someone recognize someone else on the team for something they had done recently. And I thought that was such a cool idea. And I have not done that yet, but it's still something I think is worthy of looking into, is letting each other shout out each other and affirm each other in your staff meeting, because sometimes it is nice to have that public recognition and not to embarrass someone. And if you know someone in your office is not cool with that, it would totally embarrass them. We don't want to do that. But I do think it is cool to give each other that uplifting moment to be recognized, but also I think it helps the people that maybe this is not how they receive appreciation to remember the people that do, because it has a built-in time slot for them to be able to give them words of affirmation. So if this is not your language, you may forget, or it may not be at the forefront of your mind, but if it's there, if it's built into a meeting, then you have that opportunity to do that. Because as I was thinking as we're talking, I think for me, I'm more verbal with words of affirmation because I try to do it right in that moment, because I know me. And if I take one breath, I'm going to forget, and then I will never go back to that person. But I love that Amanda is able to step back and think on it and then do that in a meaningful way later. And I don't think either way is wrong. And I think a mixture of both is probably great. But also having this opportunity to really highlight people and to help others remember, like, sometimes it's cool to shout out the people that are helping you out within the office.
And I think it may depend on your situation too. You know, where you're at, like if you are around that person or if you're not around that person all the time, and just valuing that. And, you know, even if you're doing a program and somebody helped you, just, hey, by the way, you shout out during the program, you know, thanks so much for helping that. And we did mention, you know, not everybody enjoys that, but if it hits you, then like, I think that's the time to do it. And like you mentioned, the staff meetings are just in the hallway. It's just, I think it's where you're at and what works best for your situation. Just making sure that you do it is the thing.
Yes, and being intentional about it, really thinking about it, because we've talked in previous episodes and just in previous topics, just how busy we can get, and that it's not that we're not appreciative. It's just we don't say it right then. So then, like Tiffany said, we run off and we forget that we didn't say thank you or we didn't show appreciation. And it may be something that you really want to do, but you've just got to be intentional about it. And I think oftentimes we think about words of affirmation focusing specifically on accomplishments and things that someone does, and that's great. That is one type of words of affirmation. There's also positive comments about someone's character or their personality traits. I think my husband is just the most patient person that I know, and so I'm constantly telling him that. And I know that's not in the workplace, but that's just an example that popped into my head. Like, I'm constantly just in awe of the patience that he has.
Yeah, I mean, I think recognizing individuals' attributes are important too. You know, maybe it's not just a one-time thing they've done or a job that they accomplish, but just who they are and how that helps the people around them, and how it helps inspire us too, because I think being able to recognize those things in other people helps us to build that skill within ourselves.
So how do you feel when someone expresses appreciation to you in this way? I like it. It makes me feel encouraged. And we were talking before we even recorded that I just did a lesson on Zoom that was a little bit of a difficult lesson to teach on Zoom just because of the hands-on aspect of it. It was a great topic, so excited to teach it, but I really had to think about how to present it virtually. And one of my colleagues in this room gave me a very specific comment on how I had done, and that really made me feel encouraged because I was a little bit worried about it. And it's over now and I can't do anything to change it, but just knowing that what I had done was beneficial, that really made me feel encouraged. And I do know that words of affirmation is my language of appreciation, as well as it is one of my top love languages. So yes, I verbally like to be told what I'm doing well, or if someone were to comment on my character or personality traits, something like that, that would make me feel appreciated as well as cared for.
I was thinking a different way, like maybe energized. So like if you did a great job on your program and somebody was like, you know, you really did a great job, I really like how you do that, it energizes you to do better, to continue to put that extra effort in and really make whatever you're doing the best that it can be. And I think we mentioned that before. It makes you want to go above and beyond. But if you know, like, what I really did, what I thought would help really helped, let me try to find different ways or to do it better the next time. So you're more energized to do better and continuing to really adapt and do the best that you can.
I like that you use the word energized, because that wouldn't come to my mind, but it's true. It does kind of like give you a boost. But also for me, I think a lot of times we find ourselves, especially when we've been in a job for a while, we can become just kind of bored with it or dissatisfied and wonder, like, am I making an impact anymore? Am I making a difference? And so I think for me, when I teach a class and it's like I can see the light bulb click, and then I have people who are participating tell me how meaningful something that I taught was to them, or how it changed their life, knowing that I've made that impact and getting that feedback really does energize you. And it also just increases, like, boosts your satisfaction with what you're doing, and reminds you, like, this is why I do this job. This is why this is what I do. And so it can encourage you, and it just kind of gets you back on track if you feel like you've been in a slump. Those words can make a huge impact. And I have a group that I work with that I always feel a little unsure when I go in. And every time I leave there, I feel so just excited about what I'm doing and about the impact that I'm making. And so, and I even know it, like, and I go to this group every month, and every month I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't even know if they want to hear this. And every single month they're really great. And it's always a different group of people, but the same place. I always get that feedback, and it just really does boost me, and it gets me through and makes me remember that what we're doing is so impactful and life-changing. And so I think words of affirmation can really just, like, push us forward.
And I think one key with words of affirmation is to be specific. And it's great to say thank you. Even if you're not specific, saying thank you always goes a long way. But if you can really be specific about how someone was helpful to you or what specifically they did well, then that means so much more. And we talk about this with our children too. Give them specific compliments. What did they do well? So I'm not telling you to treat your colleagues like children now. That's not where I'm going with that. But knowing specifically what I did well is really helpful, and that's helpful to other people as well.
And I think being specific and being genuine, being real. Do not give a compliment or share words of affirmation with someone if you don't really believe it. If you're just doing it for lip service, I guess, don't do that. Like, people know. They can tell when we're being disingenuine, and it does more damage than if you said nothing. So just be really mindful that, when you are giving feedback to someone, we're trying to give them words of affirmation, do it in the most genuine, realistic, and honest way.
I love that you said that, because I found an article at appreciationatwork.com, which is kind of goes hand in hand with the book that we have been using. And the title was, "What Can I Do If I Really Don't Appreciate a Coworker?" Okay. And I thought, I'm not. And I was like, I'm going to look at it. Let's see what this says, because that could be the case for some people. And I thought, when we're talking about being genuine, that's really important. And so this article had some great tips, and I won't share all of them with you, but I will link them in the show notes so that you can go check that out. But the article said for you to do some reflection. Really sit down and think about why you're having such a hard time appreciating this person. What irritates you about them? Is it a personality trait, but they do their job really well? Or are they not doing their job, but the personality is cool? What is it that is causing you to feel like you cannot appreciate them? And then even think about your expectations. Are they reasonable? Does this person have the ability to do what you are asking them to do? And then if you have an issue with someone's work performance, is there something that you can find about them that you do appreciate? So is there a good personality trait, a character trait? And then even get to know them a little better. Sometimes it takes a minute to really find out who somebody is. And you may be thinking that they're closed off, but maybe they just are having a hard time connecting and just need that extra time. So really just get to know somebody a little better. But I found that article to be really helpful. I thought that was really interesting, because when we're talking about all this, we definitely want to be genuine, whether it's tangible gifts or words of affirmation or quality time, acts of service, whichever language it is, you want to be genuine.
Yeah, it needs to be genuine. It needs to be heartfelt. And appreciation is not manipulation. So looking at your motive for why am I appreciating someone. And I know that sounds like something we would never, like, nobody's doing that. But the reality is sometimes we can twist things that are a good thing. And so we just want to come from a good place, from a genuine place, from an honest place, because people can tell the difference. And then that ends up causing more issues in a workplace that may already have something there to begin with.
And I do want to remind you about how to find out what your language of appreciation is and what your colleagues' language of appreciation is. And of course, there is the quiz that you can take, but if you're not willing to do that, simple observation can be a great way. And when you're thinking about your own, think about what is encouraging to you whenever you do feel discouraged. And if you are looking at what someone else's language of appreciation is, you can ask them, but they might not have ever thought about it. So if they don't know, then you can just observe and see how they express appreciation. We mentioned in a previous podcast that we speak our own language for the most part. And what do they complain about? What do they ask for? So those are just a few things to think about if you're trying to determine what someone's language of appreciation is. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today, and we would love some words of affirmation. So if you would like to express some appreciation, we would love to hear your feedback on our Instagram and Facebook pages. And of course, you can always email us at lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com. This is Life Simplified.
Thanks for listening to Life Simplified. We are family and consumer sciences agents with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Contact us at lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com.